And I've still got that chart to this very day.
Wow.
And that was from 1965 or 6 or 7 or something like that.
So it's the main body is bamboo.
It's all bamboo.
It's all bamboo.
Yeah, it's all bamboo, yeah. 35 years ago, this particular jam.
Wow.
Started at a pub called the Maverick, which is still functions as a music venue as well.
Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 10 of the Blues Jam podcast, where this week I've actually ventured out of the southwest all the way to the Black Country to go and speak to Tony Garrington, who talks to us all about how he got introduced to the blues music. We look at one of his amazing bamboo guitars, and of course we talk about the blues jam that he helps to run at the Red House Inn in Stourbridge. As always, stay tuned to the end for notices of jams coming up, and if you've been enjoying what you're listening to and watching here at the Blues Jam podcast, then please do make sure you subscribe and tell someone else about it so they can enjoy it as well. Thank you very much. Cheers. May you please introduce yourself?
My name's Tony Garrington, known as TG. This is my 50th year of playing well, not professionally, but it's 50 years ago since I've played my first paid gig. So
Right.
it's a real celebratory year, yeah.
Wow, so 1974.
My first gig was at Long Lane, Halesone, playing at a club called Tiffany's.
Was that just you or in a band?
That was in a
situation?
band, yeah.
Right,
It was in
okay.
a soul and reggae band at that time.
Wow, okay. So mid-70s, Halesone. Have you always lived around, because could you tell us where we are right now?
We're in this, some call it the Black Country, Stourbridge, sort of on the periphery of sort of Birmingham, Worcester, Wolverhampton.
And have you always lived around this area?
Yeah, I was born in Kinver, which is a few miles away. I spent 10 years in Spain some years ago, where I did some recording. But yeah, basically around this area. This is the hub really, yeah.
And going back to that first gig in 74, how long had you been playing the guitar? Because you're a guitar player, right?
Yes, I've been playing only for about, I don't know, I think I got my first guitar about 13, something like that, maybe 12, 13.
And do you mind if I ask how old you were on that first gig?
20.
Right.
20, yeah.
Wow. So so there'd been about 7 years of you playing. Was that
7 years learning, and I'm still learning today.
I love that. 50 years in, still learning.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Because it never ends, does it?
It never ends.
It
no.
never ends.
Never ends.
It never
no.
ends. Okay. So in that sort of beginning 7 years, what was that journey about? What first of all, what inspired you to get a guitar?
The first time I heard things like Radio Luxembourg when I was just a few years old. I just wanted to be involved in music. That was my only interest really when I was that age. And then sort of my first heroes are people like Adam and Faith and obviously the Shadows. And,
right.
And then I was hit by the R&B bug when I was listening to bands like Spencer Davis, the Kinks even, the Animals.
Yeah.
And I just got the R&B bug from there.
Right.
And then I heard, when I was about 13 or 14, I heard the chimes of On the Road Again by Canned Heat. And that sort of opened the door from the R&B of that, that was prevalent then, to the Delta. It was opened the back doors to the Delta blues, and that's where I was sort of regressing from the current R&B trend back into the old blues, if you like. So the original stuff.
So it sounds like, and please correct me if I'm wrong.
Go on.
Like you're saying, you were learning about what was going on in a contemporary way with the contemporary R&B blues that people were doing, but then you were able to follow that sort of line back. That's
absolutely right, yeah.
Right, yeah, which sounds like a very common story, and it doesn't matter whether somebody seems to be talking about 1974 or 1994, there's a very common thread that I'm finding.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that people hear something and go, oh, that's amazing, they look into it and they go, oh, actually, that's a cover of an old song.
Absolutely.
And then go back and go back. And
well, the thread of the blues runs through it, most sorts of music. And it's like, as Keith Richards said, if you can't play the blues, it's no good trying to play pop or rock and roll. You know,
Wow.
you have to have been at some stage playing the blues, or having an affiliation with it of some way.
Yeah, and or at least a basic understanding of
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. So was there any one particular song or one particular album that made you go, I want to do that?
Yeah, as I said, it was the opening chimes of On the Road Again by Canned Heat.
Right.
And that's when I thought, I want to be involved in that.
Right.
And that's when, from just messing about on the guitar, I actually started learning to play blues stuff and buying albums by people like John Hooker and Big Bill Brunsey. And, when everyone else was buying Led Zeppelin's first albums, I was buying albums from the 1930s and 40s,
Brilliant. And of course, yes, as we said, we're here in Stourbridge, really close to Birmingham, close to people like Black Sabbath, who
Absolutely, yeah.
74. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Sabbath would have been out by then. Their first album, or was just coming out.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit earlier. Yeah, I can't remember when, but
yeah, around that
71. I think
yeah,
the first.
Right, yeah,
the first stuff. Yeah.
With that very heavily bluesy influence in the.
Well,
first song.
they did start off as a band called Earth, who were basically a blues band. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so Canned Heat. And you said that you were that it sort of clicked with you about I want to do that, and you started concentrating on it a little bit more. Does that mean that were you getting lessons at the time, or were you self-taught? How did you
self-taught? I actually used to play along with anything that was on was on TV, not just music. I mean the music, the themes to TV programs. Themes to TV advertisements, but it's all learning, so it's all basically the same scales at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I did have, when I was 15 or 16, my dad paid me to have lessons. I think I had 2 lessons.
Right.
One from a Polish chap who used to live by the school I went to. He taught me a lot about tuning and intonation. And then by another, I think it was a friend of my father's, who gave me a chart of where to play chords on the neck. From, if you played an E, it would show you where another 4 areas on the neck where you could play E. And I've still got that chart to this very day.
Wow.
And that was from 1965 or 6 or 7 or something like that.
Nice.
I've still the actual piece of paper that was, it's a picture of a guitar neck with all the strings, all the frets, all the dots where the different chord intonations are playing. So yeah, I've still got that. It's quite good.
Right.
I'm still learning from it.
Still learning from it. Brilliant. And as you said, it's all scales. How did you educate yourself about things like the minor, major scales, the pentatonic scale, and the application of it?
I sort of learned by ear.
Right.
And playing along, as I said, to stuff on TV, and playing along with records. So I was playing scales, or parts of scales, that I didn't know they were scales until later. I did a little bit of studying on scales and things, and I thought, that was part of that scale, this is part of that. But I never really studied, the scales part of it. I just studied from the feel thing, from the playing by ear, and I want it to sound like this, and I'll make it sound like that if I can,
So do you have quite a good musical ear? Can you listen to something and sort of work it out?
Not so much these days, because I'm suffering from brain rot these days, but I used to be able to sort of listen to something and basically convert it, to, I used to listen to music and convert it to sound, yeah. And
you were saying that first gig was with a sort of, did you say reggae sort of?
It's a soul and reggae band,
soul
yeah.
And reggae
well,
band.
me and a friend, the sax player, I still see these days, Viv. We were rehearsing in a band 2 or 3 times a week, but we were just getting great at rehearsing, but we weren't getting good at gigging because we just wanted to play live. And Viv said to me the one day, I know a band who are looking for a sax player and a guitarist. Would you fancy going for the audition? So we went for the audition, both got the jobs, and within 3 weeks we'd got a gig. And obviously the stuff we'd been rehearsing was it was a lot of Stones influence because the guy who sang was a big Stones fan, and sort of a little bit of soul and 60s rock. And then all of a sudden we're thrown into this different world of soul music and reggae. And plus chart stuff as well, because we used to play sort of working men's clubs and nightclubs where you had to know, finger on the pulse of what was in the charts and stuff. And so it was a bit of a curveball really, but it was great because we were playing live, and we carried on with that band under different guises for the next few years. Yeah.
And it sounds like that might have sort of contributed to your musical education in a way.
Most definitely, yeah. Most definitely.
I can imagine if you had to listen to whatever was in the charts and then go, right, we better figure this out.
That's right, yeah, I said it was a curveball really, instead of learning sort of basic chord structures, 12 bars and things like that, you had to learn all these different progressions and sort of jazzy chords and things like that. So yeah, it was good, it was good.
Nice. So
and of course reggae is a totally different thing, totally different rhythmic.
With different rhythms.
Different world, but I found it quite easy, even though, believe it or not, I didn't really like listening to reggae, but I actually did I still do like playing it,
Right, okay.
It's great to play, but
So just describe for us briefly, give us a bit of a music education then. How would you describe the rhythm that's used in reggae?
Well, it's sort of, it's not that much different, it's just played on the offbeat.
Right.
It's sort of playing on the downstroke, you're playing on the upstroke, so, it's just a little mind twitch,
Right.
So... Yeah, it's not that much more difficult. It's just different, just a little bit different.
Nice. So, at what point did you get into a sort of specific blues band? Because I'm guessing all the time that you were doing that stuff with the first band, you still have an interest in blues. I'm guessing you're still playing.
Oh yeah,
blues
still
right,
always listen to the blues. That was my main sort of feed, if you like. Yeah. Well, I played in lots of. The reggae soul stroke pop band that went on for a good few years, and then I joined some other friends of mine who were playing again nightclubs, working men's clubs, a array of stuff. And it wasn't until sort of later 70s I actually got into sort of playing more bluesy stuff with various bands, jamming mainly.
Right.
And I was with a heavy metal band for a while, when it was hip to play heavy metal, 79, 80, late 70s, early 80s.
It's always hip to play heavy metal, but I know what you mean. There's been phases where it's been more hip, yeah.
Well, a lot of that comes from the blues as well.
Of course, really, yeah. If you speed up the 12-bar structure, you've kind of got a riff.
Absolutely,
those riffs are just speeded up.
Yeah.
And the idea of repeating it.
Speed it up and very distorted.
Yeah.
That's a bit so.
Yeah, well, as I've said before, when I learnt about the blues scale, the pentatonic scale and the blues scale, I was playing one day I was playing a Metallica riff, and I suddenly realised, oh, hang on a minute, this is the G minor pentatonic with the added blues note in it.
Yeah.
That's all this is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
So late 70s, early 80s, you were playing in a metal band, and then.
But it was around that time. It wasn't that easy to get gigs.
Right.
Well, from the sort of mid to late 70s, the disco thing kicked in.
Right.
So a lot of the clubs that were putting on music, they were finding it cheaper to put on a DJ who was playing all the stuff that was popular, the disco stuff. So there weren't many disco bands, if you like, at that time.
You're right. It's all of a sudden about a guy turning up with a load of records.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because the girls wanted to dance, and they could dance to heavy metal.
No.
So that was it. Was a fallow period really, and I didn't play that. I didn't play much apart from jamming and hanging out at home and playing with friends. That was it really. So I didn't really play much in the 80s.
Right.
The late 80s, I moved to Spain. Came back from Spain in about 95, and when I came back in 95, that's when I actually started playing blues. I met Roy, who you'll see later at the jam night.
Nice.
I was introduced to him by a friend, and I used to run a pub, and I gave him a gig there, and he asked me to get up and do some numbers with him, and then he asked me to join the band, and I was absolutely thrilled because it was the first bona fide blues band really I'd ever been with, and you know that was
Right.
that's what I'd wanted to do, to be quite honest, for many years. And basically it's been the same since. I've been playing Roy with since then, with a few breaks. And I've had there's been a few other bands involved, but you know it's mainly been the Little Big Band and Slide Boy Roy. So yeah.
Slide, right, beg your pardon. So that's, yeah, because I got here late, sorry about that. But your man's...
Roy had to leave for he had to go for his fish and chips, yeah.
Right,
so.
nice, okay.
But you'll meet up again with him later on, yeah.
Brilliant.
He'll be at the jam night later on.
Brilliant, right, okay. So there's almost like a 20-year break. I mean, you were still playing, and you were playing with guitar, either yourself or jamming or whatever, but in terms of performing, before you got into performing specifically with a blues band, it sounds like there was almost like a 20-year period.
I mean, I was introduced to some musical people when I was in Spain. And I recorded about 3 albums with this geezer who was he was a previous a chart, well, he'd been in the charts with various songs, and he was trying to get back into the charts. So he was paying me basically as a session musician, but we did become friends and did a lot of playing together at clubs and stuff. But I did 2 or 3 albums with him, which was he wanted me because he knew how to play rock and roll, and he couldn't find a Spanish guitarist who could play rock and roll.
Right.
So and he did an album called Amor y Rock and Roll, which is love and rock and roll, which was one side ballads and the other side basic rock and roll, which I played on both. It was quite enjoyable to play the ballads actually, because you know it's quite nice music, Spanish, but Spanish pop and ballads. So I was playing, but it was mainly I only did 4 or 5 or 6 gigs in the few years I was over there. But I did a lot of stuff recording, you know, a lot of recording work. But so I was keeping the licks up, you know, keeping the chops up, but not really playing much with bands.
And was that how you were funding yourself while you were out there, or did you have a job while you were out
there? No, I was actually running restaurants and bars, and that. So like when I was playing, it was at a local club where the chap I recorded for was playing. So that was like about 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and that and he because he used to play most nights of the week. When we recorded, the recording sessions were overnight, you know, sort of.
Right.
We'd meet up about 4 a.m. and record till 6 or 7 in the morning. So.
Wow.
So it was
and
quite
sleep during the day.
Well, I'm quite nocturnal anyway, so it suited me, you know.
Right. Okay. Wow. That was, you were saying that was the 90s.
That was the late 80s to the say 87 till about 95. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. That sounds like a bit of a heyday then, because from what I can figure out, you were like, what, in your 30s?
Yeah, I was in my prime.
Yeah,
I was in my prime,
yeah. Living in Spain, sun and sangria all day.
Living the dream.
Yeah,
and sometimes a nightmare.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it was good.
Right.
Good days.
Recording sessions through the night, session musician
it was a bit rock and roll, yeah.
Nice, okay. And then you wanted a bit more of the quiet life or something, did you? And so you came back to the UK.
Well, the work really over there, as far as the bar and restaurant thing went, the tourism was falling really.
Right. Okay.
So when I was first over there, my season was from sort of around Easter and I used to stay till about October. I used to work till about October. And the last season, I was only open for less than 8 weeks. So it was just pointless.
Yeah.
You know, I said to the people I was working for, I'm not going to come back next year. It's you know, it's not worth it really.
No, okay. And so then, as you were saying, you met your man Roy, and then again, was that something that was able to fund? Was that relationship and that work that you and the music stuff, was that? Oh no, because you were running a pub, you were saying.
Yeah. I was working at the pub at the time. I took over running it later on, but yeah. And I was still sort of. I've always sort of since then actually I've done a lot of pub work, management and just menial work. That's been my basic funding. Music's just been. But music's always been there. Since the word go really. That's always been the backbone really.
And you were saying before that quite often they were paid gigs. So I mean, it sounds like you were getting I keep going on at this because I'm trying to get a picture of whether you were a professional I don't mean in terms of your ability, I just mean all you did was music, or whether you had to fit that in, like the vast majority of people have to, trying to fit in a job and fit in going out gigging and practice.
Yeah, basically I've always had, or sort of 75% of the time, there's always been menial jobs in the background, you know. Mainly sort of bar work or pub work or shop work or, you know, stuff like that.
Because I think that's a very real element that we have to think about sometimes.
Yeah.
That like it's great having these, for some people hobbies, for some people passions, for some people a job, but from what I'm picking up, there's a vast majority of people who are like, I've got to fit in work with this stuff as well, in between practice and performing and learning new songs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So then, but like you're saying, you've had a long-term musical relationship with Roy for the last sort of about 25 years or so.
Yeah, about 25 years, yeah.
And you've got a couple of cats running.
Yeah, that was Gracie having a bit of a flit about it.
Bit of zoomies for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's just been to eat now. She's off out.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so me and Roy have been doing this thing with various other members of the band, from and off for about 25 years with a couple of ranks, yeah.
And you were saying, with some personnel changes within.
Yeah, it's a revolving door of members really, or it has been. We've got a fairly stable lineup at the moment. We're sometimes 5-piece, sometimes 6-piece, sometimes 7-piece. So you know, it's
depends who turns up.
Depends. It depends on the night, yeah.
And
who can make it, and who can't, yeah.
And when you play guitar, are you lead guitar, rhythm guitar?
We both share the same duties. We both play lead, rhythm, and slide. Nice. So you know, we can mix and match. You know, it's quite a versatile setup really, which is good.
Okay.
And we're one of the very few bands with 2 slide players in, which is also quite interesting.
Nice. Okay. Do you utilise that? Do you harmonise with your slide guitar?
Not so much harmonise, but we do play a lot together. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we do play slide on certain numbers together. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Which is, as I said, quite a good element.
Nice. I was watching a bit of an interview with Derek Trucks the other day.
Okay.
The rest of it, but yeah, he's quite tasty. Isn't
he is, yeah, quite a fluid player.
Yeah. I mean, when you're gigging with BB King and he looks over and says, "Play that again." You're not going too bad.
I was reading something about him recently, and when he was, I think 9 or 10, he actually became better than his tutor.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
so,
I think yeah. And he was gigging in bands since he's been young, hasn't he?
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Like
well,
really
his father was a drummer with the Allman Brothers, so he got most of his licks off Dwayne Allman. So you know.
Wow, I didn't know that bit. Okay. Wow. Yeah, and those guys are pretty tasty. They can.
I learned most of my slides from the Allman Brothers, to be quite honest, back in the early 70s, specifically from the Eat a Peach album, because that's where I learned tune. So I experimented with various tuning, the G, D, whatever.
Right.
And then I realised that Dwayne Allman played mainly in an open E, which is so versatile, and you can also bar the chords. So if you do tune to open E, you can play slide in any key.
Right.
You know, rather than have to detune to mess about, yeah. And I also found out that, because I also learnt a bit from Joe Walsh. Right. And recently I found out, because I found the similarity that playing in E and some of the riffs, was apparently that Joe Walsh had lessons from Dwayne Allman as well. So
there you go. There's direct lineage there coming down through. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, talking of that, I noticed you. Do these 2 live here, or did you get them out for me today?
No, they're the ones I just go to pick up, and you know, if I feel like a strum, yeah.
Are you happy to show us either one of these 2? Because I quite like the look of that electric. That looks very.
The Lindo, yeah, that was my last purchase actually, and I like the look of it. It's from a company not far from you actually, in Bristol.
Right. Are you willing to show us? Can I?
Yeah.
Put it. I can grab it. If you don't mind, if you don't mind me.
No.
I know. I can understand it. Oh yeah. Oh no, she's not very heavy, is she?
Well,
she's quite light.
It's made from bamboo.
Well, I've got
so it's very light. So it's very strong and very light, and that's the main reason I bought it, because my go-to guitar is a Les Paul, but
right.
I get tired pretty easily these days. The Les Pauls are so heavy.
Yeah,
really heavy.
Yeah.
fairly out of tune, but quite a lovely guitar, yeah.
But you were saying, so it's the main body is bamboo.
It's all bamboo.
It's all bamboo.
Yeah, it's all bamboo, yeah.
Wow, okay.
So that was hence the light.
With a bolt on neck.
Yeah, but it is, unfortunately, I don't play it live anymore because it's quite unbalanced, because it's hollow bodied and bamboo.
Right.
It makes it quite unbalanced. So
she's quite headstock heavy.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So I don't, that's why it's just, it's the sofa setter, you know.
It's the sofa with no strap on it, because you're
not.
No. And they're sort of, are they sort of like P90s?
Yeah, P90s, yeah.
Right, okay.
Well, funnily enough, this that's the normal go-to one, the acoustic.
Right, okay.
And this one was tuned to E, as I was saying, because I used to pick this up with the slide.
Right.
But a friend of mine, mentioning no names, Mickey Butler, came round a couple of months ago and said, "This is out of tune." I said, "It's not out of tune, it's tuned to E."
Yeah.
So he detuned it back to normal.
Back to normal.
But slightly out of key with the other guitars. So, thank you, Mick.
Yeah, no, that's nice. That's very nice.
It is, it's a lovely guitar, but so unfortunately it's a little unbalanced to play.
Yeah.
A bit like me, really, live.
Hardtail and, yeah, okay, lovely. Lovely. Let's put her back so she's nice and safe. Just on the arm here, yeah? Like,
Yeah, it's fine, yeah. You'll find there's a groove
yeah.
weighted into the arm.
There you go. Cool. So will I see the Les Paul, because we're going on to the jam later on tonight.
We are, indeed.
So, and I'll see the Les Paul, is that the
No, I'm not playing the Les Paul at the moment, it's far too heavy.
Right.
I've got the slide guitar I play, which is permanent tuned to, is a really old Ibanez Roadstar, Roadstar 2, and I think that's a mid-70s model.
Right.
And the straight tuning guitar is, I've got a Telecaster, so I'll be using the Telecaster as well.
Right, okay.
That's the one tuned to normal for the rock and roll stuff.
And tell me a little bit about the jam. Did you start the jam?
Not at all, not by any means, no. The jam was started by some old friends. It's probably getting on for, where are we now? Probably 35 years ago, this particular jam.
Wow.
Started at a pub called the Maverick, which is still functions as a music venue as well. It's been through various phases but unfortunately, with the COVID thing, since we restarted, the attendance at pubs is dropped off. So we've been knocked back from doing monthly weekly to monthly now.
Right.
Because the attendance just wasn't there, really. But we get a few more in now, it's monthly, so
right.
it's worth carrying on with. But yeah, I took it over. Various people ran it, and it was at most stage it was like two factions. One bunch would do it one week, and then another bunch would do it the following week. Even though most of the musicians were the same sort of people. And then, funny enough, Roy, Sly Boy Roy, he walked away from it, so I took it over, the 1 week over, with another friend, QB, who used to do the other week. And then we sort of changed venue. There was a lot of umming and ahhing about what was going on at the time. And we've moved the jam night about over the last 10 or 12 years.
Right.
It's been at various pubs, and we've settled we've been at the Red House now for probably about 4 years. 4, maybe 5 years, and it seems to be the place where it's settled for the time being anyway.
Great name for the venue, the Red House.
The Red House, absolutely. Yeah. They're from the Hendrix song, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so I mean, you're saying it's been going for 35 years. Had you been attending it from the beginning, or...?
No, I started going there in not probably till the mid to late 90s.
Right.
As I said, I came back from Spain in 95, so I'd started sort of... And I was out of the loop in the music scene back then, obviously, because I'd been out of it for sort of 10 years.
You were out of the loop, right.
So I had to sort of feel my way in again, and getting to know people, or rekindling friendships with various musicians. So it wasn't until the sort of late 90s I was sort of back into the swing of things, really. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when you started regularly attending. But you were saying then it was sort of weekly, so there was a really good.
Yeah.
chance to go.
The original sort of jam nights around this particular area were started at a pub called the Mitre, which is still a good pub, still a venue of sorts occasionally. And there's a gentleman called John Knight, who indeed was a gentleman. He used to run an open mic night there in the upstairs room back in, I think, the mid-80s. I first started attending, and he was like, for me, he was sort of the godfather of the jam night, because from there it sort of spread to other places, and then open mics became, amplified, and jam night started appearing. And for me, that was the beginning of the jam night, the local jam night, really. And we just keeping the flowing.
And what were you? I mean, it might be obvious to us, but for anyone else, what was it that you were getting out of attending those jam nights?
Well, it's just great to play with other people. And I mean, it's not always just blues. There's a lot of other elements like jazz, even folk, rock, singer-songwriter stuff. It's a bit of everything. So it's as I said, still learning today. Even though I've been playing 50, 60 years almost, you never stop learning. So and so I get that out of it. And also, it's great to see some of the younger folks come through. I mean, I've known some fabulous musicians locally who, going back like all those 30 odd years ago to the Maverick, who were like 11, 12, 13, who are now, fully fledged adults and absolutely wonderful musicians. It's great to see that aspect as well, people coming up and growing up and coming up in the music thing,
Nice. And is there a different element that you have to it now you're running it? What's it like being there?
Well, there's no different element to run it. All it means is I sort of do the advertising, and as I said previously, I'm not really a front man, or and I don't sing, so I only run it in the aspect that I do the advertising and getting it together, and doing all the phone calls and arranging stuff, really, and musically I'm just a sideman. and sometimes I won't even be playing, I'll be sat at the bar, which is my preferable place of viewing.
So what's the format of this particular jam?
We start off with a house band, which is sometimes 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 7,
right.
As people know. We'll do 3, 4, maybe 5 numbers, a bit of blues, a bit of boogie, and then depending on who's in the house, normally whoever comes in first, they'll get the first spot. And then if it's a quiet night, the house band will get back up and do a bit more, or if there's someone who comes in who just plays a certain instrument and wants certain members of the house band to play, we'll get up and help them out as far as backing goes and stuff like that. And on it goes, and once if everyone's had the shot, or we'll get up and finish maybe the last 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and
Is there a sheet with songs on it that you put your name down?
Oh no, there's none of that business now.
Far too organised.
It's far too, yes. A lot of people do that, and if you get busy, and if you've got a fast turnover, like when everybody's doing just a couple of songs, but we gauge it by the people who are there. If there's lots of people there, you'll get a couple of songs. If there's not so many there, you can do quarter of an hour, 20 minutes. It depends. As I said, it depends on the night, how many people are wanting to jam, or
Nice.
It's nice to have some people in just to watch as well,
Do you get a fair sort of audience? Of
sometimes there's a great crowd in. Sometimes there's more musicians than watchers, but another,
right.
It varies. It's tumbling dice, really. You never know,
Yeah.
Which is a fine aspect.
Yeah, I've seen that at different jams. I mean, most of them are. I've only been to 3 different ones so far, so
okay.
Today will be a really nice. This evening will be a really nice experience, and away from my local geographical area as well. I'm really aware that I'm stepping into other people's territory.
Okay,
So.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. I'm sure you will.
I hope
We've got some good musicians lined up. Got a few good musicians lined up.
Okay. Well,
do you play yourself? I never asked.
Yeah, play guitar.
So you're going to get up later and...
Hopefully so.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's the whole week, yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm coming to get amongst it and get involved.
Well, okay, you're going to be forced into doing it now.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm here to play. I've got a ladyship in the boot. She's ready.
Beautiful. What have you got?
Yeah, a Jackson.
Okay.
I've got the wrong guitar, which I keep getting reminded
There's
about.
no such thing as the wrong guitar.
I know. I make the joke about why is it wrong because it plays the other 7 notes out of the scale. Is that why it's wrong? The other 2 notes out of the scale to make the 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Well, if you want to borrow a Les Paul, the right guitar, you're very welcome to do so.
Borrow the right guitar. I'm not worthy of one of those yet. I'm not worthy of one
I
of
can't
those
say
yet.
that.
Maybe one day, if I ever get good enough, we'll see.
Nobody's ever good enough. There's always room for
Right.
improvement.
Say some more about that.
Well, you know, it's like, who's the best guitarist in the world? There's no such thing. And he's a better guitarist than I am. Is it? Can he play what I can play? You know, and is he playing from my heart? Is he playing with my hands? You know, it's a very complex thing.
It is complex, isn't it? I mean, when you have people like
the more you know, the less you know. If you know. What I mean.
Right.
The more you know, the more it's to learn. You know.
Yeah. So there's 2 things that I want to pick up on. 2 things on that. When you have people like Hendrix during an interview being asked, "What's it like to be the world's best guitarist?" and he's like, "I'm not the world's best guitarist." He's like, "I'm barely the best sat in this chair."
Yeah, that's right.
You know, like, wow. And then absolutely, I can relate to that thing. And it's amazing that absolutely, the more I'm learning about music theory, the more I'm like, I know nothing. There is so much here.
I don't do theory because that's when it bogs me down.
Right, okay.
You know, I've got certain friends in particular, who just bang on about scales, and I'm thinking, I don't want to hear scales, I want to hear music, you know.
Right.
You know, I don't want to hear you talking about scales, I want to hear you talking about music, you know. I know it's the same thing, but is it, you know?
How would you define the difference? Because I agree with you, but I'm interested in hearing your point of view.
Scales is hard work. Music should be pleasant to listen to.
Right.
Scales always sounds like hard work.
Right, okay. And is there something in the melodic nature of music over the structural nature of scales, perhaps?
Yeah, it's
not to put words in your mouth.
It's just what's pleasant to the ear, isn't it? Really.
Right. Nice. Okay.
It's nice to hear some technical stuff going on that you can get your ears round. But it's also nice to hit that groove and listen to some pleasant, some harmonics, something flowing. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. Yes. Yeah. Don't be fooled when I get a ladyship out. I'm not a shredder. It looks like a shredder's guitar.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not. I don't have fast fingers, and
Okay.
I haven't learned that stuff.
Okay.
I might do one day. I don't know.
But at the moment, you're quite happy with it. Yeah, okay.
Quite
That's
happy.
good, yeah.
Just
I look forward to having a listen.
bimbling around the
Bimbling, that's a good word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bimbling around the fretboard, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Look forward to listening to that.
And then occasionally looking up and going, "Oh, I think I'm in the wrong. I'm in the wrong key. Hang on a minute." Yeah.
Or is everyone else in the wrong key? You know
Yes.
what I mean?
That's
Who
a very
knows?
good question. Okay.
That's what I always say, anyway.
And is it? I mean, certainly my experience so far, and again, not to cast aspersions, but is it one of those classic ones where there's going to be 15 million guitarists that turn up and one poor drummer there all night?
Well, we've had that occasionally,
Right.
but sometimes you get, what we call a bin of bass players, and like just a couple of guitarists, and that happens sometimes. Or, we might have 5 drummers one night, another night we may have 1 drummer who has to play all night, if you like,
Well, on those busy nights, you can send some of the drummers down our way in Gloucestershire, because there's a few jams like it.
That's not always the case, but it does happen sometimes.
It has happened, right? Interesting, yeah.
But yes, I know what you mean about a glut of guitarists, because it can happen. But as I said, we've had nights of just a couple of guitarists, and we've had 5 or 6 bass players. Luckily, a lot of the people we know can switch between.
Right.
I can play bass, but I'm absolutely rubbish, so I don't play bass. I steer well clear of it. But lots of us, I should say, who turn up, mix and match, and there's some people who play bass, drums, and guitar, and more power to them. And mainly the younger people, because they tend to spread these days.
Right.
I think people of my age and a bit younger, they learn an instrument. They don't branch, which a lot of people, the younger people now, they play everything really.
Multi-instrumentalists.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big heads, I call them.
Yeah.
Show-offs.
Annoyingly talented.
Yes, and very annoyingly talented. Yeah, I quite agree there.
Yeah.
But it's good to see. It's good to see.
Yes. Yes.
It's good to see.
And how are you, like, so in this present moment with the jam, how do you feel about it? Or do you think it's in a good space? Do you think it's metaphorically in a good space? And is it also, are you happy with the venue and where it's at the moment? What's going on?
Yeah, it was the only problem with the venue at the moment is parking. It's a bit difficult to park.
Right.
But apart from that, yeah, it's a nice big room. The attendance is generally good, but it's a variable, you know. It's, as I said, it's tumbling dice. You never know if you're going to get a big crowd and few musicians, or loads of musicians in a small crowd. It's just different every week, every month, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally it's good. It's good.
And you were saying that it's now turned to that once a month schedule.
Yeah.
And is that something you think you're going to stick with, or?
Well, I'm not really sure. We're thinking of, or we've been talking about starting another monthly on at a different venue on the fortnight. So we, you know, so it'll be a fortnight turnaround. But we've just been tentatively talking about things like that. So we're quite happy with each at the moment being a monthly thing. Yeah.
Because excuse my naivety, this is part of the learning experience of doing all this. I mean, crikey, we're like you say, we're right on the edge of Birmingham here, which is quite a big major city in the UK. So you've got this one in Stourbridge happening every month. Are you aware of many other jams around the Birmingham area?
Absolutely. There's jams actually in the locale.
Right.
Probably 4 or 5 nights a week.
Blues specific jams or
no
open
mics.
Right.
There's a couple of jam nights a week in the sort of local areas. Let's say 2.5, 3 miles.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, and obviously the closer you get to Birmingham, there's lots. You can go out every night and it's a jam night or an open mic. Same with you know, Bewdley and Stourport, which people from around this area will know. That's quite a musical area. There's lots of stuff going on around that area. Right. And obviously we're not far from Wolverhampton. As the closer you get to Wolverhampton, there's stuff going on there as well. So it's, you know, you can go out any night of the week to a jam night within you know, and get there within 20 minutes.
Right. Nice. Well, I need to do more research then, because
there's a lot. It's rife. Should we say it's rife?
Especially blues specific jam nights. I want to know all about, so I can keep putting them at the end of the podcast for the notices and then people know where to go. So if you're watching and you're local to Birmingham and you know about a blues jam that I'm not mentioning at the end of each episode at the notices, please do contact me either through YouTube or Instagram and let me know, because I want to know, because I want to put them up and promote
Absolutely.
them. Yeah. Okay. So that's some of the idea for the future, that you're potentially looking at another jam to sort of sit in the middle of it, so there's a more 2 weekly. Yeah. Would that be in the same area or?
It'll be the same area, but as I said, it's and probably a Wednesday, because most of the nights are taken for various jam nights, you know. The one that I run or we run, it's always been a Wednesday.
Right.
You know, so it's fashionable.
Yeah. And you were talking about, talk about moving into the future as well. You were talking about you've got some gigs lined up with your band at the moment. Yeah,
we're busier now than we've been for a while. You know, it's certainly the busiest since before COVID. We've got, as I said, one in a couple of weeks down your way in Gloucester, surrounded by another 3 that very weekend for the Birmingham Booze and Blues Festival.
Right.
We did Halzone Booze and Blues Festival a couple of nights ago. I don't know the dates because I don't write them down. They just phoned me and said we're playing on so and so, you know.
Right.
But yeah, we've got a few. So
is there somebody else in the band who's takes more of the manager role and does
Roy does a lot of it, and also we've got a harmonica player called Steve, who's a fabulous player. He's in touch with an agent and he gets gigs as well. In fact, he's got the one that's coming up a week on Friday.
Right.
So between them, we've been quite busy.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've got like a lot coming up.
There's some, we do. We've probably got. We play at Nantwich, because we've always played the Nantwich Jazz and Blues Festival for 20 years, probably maybe more. So from that we've got side bookings from places we play say, will you come back up and do it, you know, without being at the Blues Festival, so we do that. And the same as Upton, the Upton Jazz and Blues, we play various other places at Upton as well. Right. You know, from playing the Blues Festival, you get, you know, sort of side gigs from those as well, so.
Nice.
So we do quite a bit in Upton, quite a bit in Nantwich.
And what's the name of the band, and where can people hear your music? Yeah,
we're called Slide Boy Roy, and there's just lots on YouTube, and it goes back for years, so you probably see a lot of Slide Boy before I was with them, and there's probably 6 or 7 or 8 different lineups of Slide Boy Roy in the last, 15 odd years, so it's, you know. But yeah, there's lots on YouTube, and
with Roy being the critical piece that is there consistently. Okay, and does that is it original material, or do you do covers, or which?
It's mainly old blues covers, rock and roll covers, because we get quite rocky.
Right.
But there's a few Roy's originals, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We mix and match, depending on the venues and, you know, how it's going, as it were.
Nice. Nice. Well, Tony, thank you very much for your time today.
It's been a pleasure, Brett. Thank you.
I think there's probably still more to discuss.
Probably so.
But there were, just like learning the guitar, there's always more to discuss.
There's always more.
But I think we need to start thinking about maybe a bit of food or something to take us through this evening.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What time does it start this evening?
We'll sort of get there about 8 o'clock, set up, have a quick do a quick number tune, make sure everyone's in tune or out of tune, and then sort of, if people are in there, we'll start about 9. If it's quiet, we'll start 9:15, something like that.
Nice.
Run through till midnight, so you know, there's plenty of time.
I'm not sure if I can stay that late.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
It's a school night for me, so
fair comment.
Got work tomorrow, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to.
I'm retired now, so I can kick back.
So you can do as you please.
Whenever.
You're a man of leisure.
Absolutely.
Brilliant, I love it. Well, Tony, thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you, Brett. It's been a pleasure, mate. Yeah, it's been nice to talk. Yeah.
And say goodbye to everyone.
Take care, and don't forget to boogie.
Right, I hope you all enjoyed that as much as I did. It was great to sit down with Tony and find out a little bit more about his history, and indeed we did go on to the jam later on that evening, and some of the tracks from that jam are up on the YouTube channel right now. So, as always, some notices about jams coming up over the next sort of week and a half or so. As always, we've got the regular ones, the first 5 regular ones. So we've got the Colin Staples Blues Jam at the Navigation Inn, Castle Lock, Nottingham. That's 9 PM every Wednesday. We've got the Great British Blues Jam at the Temple of Arts and Music in London. That's at 42 Newington Causeway. That's SE1 6DR. That's every Saturday from 3:30 onwards. We've got the Blue Lamp in Aberdeen. That's 121 Gallowgate. The postcode for that is AB251BU. That's every Wednesday from 8 PM onwards. We've got the 2 backdoor blues jams, one at the Orchard Inn at Hanover Place, Harbourside, Bristol, BS1 6XT from 8:30 onwards in the evening, every Monday evening. And the other backdoor blues jam is at the Queen of Cups, 10 to 12 North Lode Street, Glastonbury, BA6 9JJ, every Sunday 5 PM till 7 PM. And then this week we have got Crediton Blues Jam at Crediton, Devon, at the Red Deer, and that's every second Sunday. So by my calculations that should be the 14th, that should be this Sunday. That starts at 7 PM. We've got the Magic Garden Blues Jam at 231 Battersea Park Road, London. That's SW114LG. That's the second Thursday of every month at 8 PM onwards. So that should be the 11th according to my calculations. And we have the Blues Jam at Queensway, Bletchley, 105 to 111 Queensway, Bletchley, Milton Keynes. That's MK2 2DN. On Wednesday the 17th from 7:30 onwards. So that's next Wednesday, not this Wednesday. as always, do go and do your own little bit of research just to double check that those jams are still on. So far as I know, they are. If they're not, do please let me know so that I can adjust my records here. And if you know of any other jams that are going on, please do let me know as well. If you're cautious or concerned or anxious about going to a blues jam, just go along, introduce yourself to anyone there, preferably the person who's running it. That will soon be obvious who's running it. It'll probably be the person running around looking like they're stressed and concerned about what they're doing, or sitting and chilling. Either way, just go and introduce yourself, take your instrument, and if you feel comfortable, then go and play. If you don't, you don't have to play. Nobody has to play, even if you bring your instrument. Everybody's been very welcoming that I've been to. Every jam that I've been to, everyone's been very welcoming. So I would highly recommend going. It will really improve your playing and it will help with what you're doing. So, as always, thank you very much for joining me at the Blues Jam podcast. And as always, if you've enjoyed what you've listened to, make sure you subscribe and tell somebody about it so they can enjoy it as well. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.